Today we're going to actually chat with you about Stone Creek in Ocala. Thanks so much for joining us again.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, we'll let J. Michael dive into the questions and how he'd like to
Yes,
proceed.
so I mean, you guys probably kind of know how these go now, but we'll talk about the overview, kind of the location, which is very similar to On Top of the World, the previous one we did. We'll get into some financials, kind of HOA, how much homes cost in Webb, Stone Creek, some of that stuff. And then we'll take a look at amenities and then go over some FAQs at the end. Sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we'll get started with the location. So this is the neighbor of On Top of the World.
Yes, right. These communities back to back each other. In certain places in Stone Creek, you can see On Top of the World. And lucky for Stone Creek, they have finally are in the process of building a golf cart path from Stone Creek all the way to Shalom Park, all the way to the town square. So if you're in Stone Creek, you can literally go all the way to 200 and everything, the grocery store and everything it has to offer. It's a little bit longer of a ride, but you could do it.
Cool, yeah, and that's kind of been the benefit of being On Top of the World opposed to Stone Creek then, is just your access to shopping from your golf cart?
Yes, but now you can do it with Stone Creek. It's a little bit longer of a ride, but it's in the right weather, the right time of year. It's beautiful. So yes, but they are still working on some pieces of it, but it's almost finished. You got to remember one thing between On Top of the World and Stone Creek is Shalom Park. It's actually owned by On Top of the World, but it's a public park. You can't bring your doggies there, but they have several times a year they will do festivals, music festivals, and there'll be food and music. It's 42 acres of botanical beauty, and it's in the trail. There's trails everywhere. There's beautiful ponds with those big old goldfish in there that you can feed. Mm-hmm. They have a bat house. It's a really, really beautiful park.
That's cool.
When you say trails, is that biking and hiking or just hiking?
Just walking trails in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in there was really interesting. There's a lot of these pewter metal statue figures, people that the Cullens knew along the way in their life, including the dad and the son and the benches. There's lots of benches in there to sit down on, and they have names on who they were dedicated to. So there's a lot of interesting little hidden facts when you go in there.
Well, this is interesting because you brought the Collins up before. So they're the developer, or they own a ton of land, and they're the On Top of the World developer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Colin, Sid Colin is the one who started it, and Ken started working it when he was, and his younger, and he is still there. He actually lives there on Circle Square Ranch, a 1,000-acre cattle ranch. They started this facility, it takes years to start planning a community. So it was like the late 70s, and they started putting villas in there in the early 80s.
Yes.
So yes, it's
and since we're on Webb Stone Creek, that's a very interesting thing because that's the development around the area too. The hospitals and stuff from Stone Creek right off of 200?
Yeah, if you're on 200 and you're going a little further west, just a couple miles down the road is an Advent ER. So they take emergencies there. You can do CAT scans, ultrasounds. They've got a whole health facility there. And then just barely 11 miles to downtown Ocala is your big Advent hospital. They have two big hospitals down there. One was called Orange Memorial, and I think since it was Monroe, so they've all kind of changed their names, but there's two big hospitals. But all the way there are a ton of cardio facilities, urologies, any medical thing you can imagine, and there's a ton of it all on 200 and more coming.
Very cool. And then in terms of shopping, I know this probably feels similar to what we talked about, but in terms of shopping, where's the majority of shopping at?
The majority of shopping is if you go down 200, downtown area, they have Target, they have all these wonderful TJ Maxx, Ross, there's Dickies, there's Kohl's, they have a Chica's for the women who love that, but there is a ton of shopping. And then if you come on the west side of 75, they have a lot of Bell's Outlet, all kinds of, there's another TJ Maxx on down on this side. There's a super Walmart and a Walmart marketplace. And there's tons of places to get your hair and nails done. And actually, with On Top of the World, you can take your golf cart there. But Stone Creek, with that golf cart path, you can do that too.
That's awesome.
So I know there's a small airport in Ocala, but I just found out not too long ago that it's not open to sort of the public. Those are private jets. So airports, you'd fly into Tampa or Orlando?
Yep, they're 90 minutes away, Tampa and OIA. It's not too bad because you're mostly on the highway. When you go there, you're either taking the Sun Coastal down to Tampa or the Turnpike to Orlando. It's not that bad of a ride. Sometimes you get there sooner. Just depends. You got to kind of scoot on 75 for a little bit. But once you get off 75, it's a straight shot.
Cool. It depends on how big of a lead foot you have, too.
Right. Make sure you have that fuzz buster on.
Awesome. So, and then you have, obviously, Crystal River right there, beaches on the other coast. Closest VA, you said there's a satellite VA in Ocala?
Yeah, it's not a little tiny thing either. It's a very big facility. It's a satellite VA office, so there's a lot that you can get done there without having to go to the big one over in Gainesville. That's where the main one is. But there is a nice size facility over close to downtown. 17th Street is a big medical row over there, so there's a lot of medical. 17th and 11th is where the hospital is, but there is a VA satellite there. It's super, super convenient for folks that actually use that.
Cool. Beautiful. Well, let's hop into the community. What do you think?
Okay, about Stone Creek?
Yeah, so let's start off with the financials. I feel like this is what everyone always wants to know. So, HOA and then home prices, from the low end to the high end, and then sort of a median, what to expect, or what's a good budget if you are interested in Stone Creek?
Well, if you're going to build new, their base price of their home is $229 or $221,900, all the way up to over $400,000 for new homes. And very much the same, like On Top of the World, they do kind of model after each other. Now, I will say Stone Creek, their lots are not as expensive. Even the golf course are not. A big difference between the two, Stone Creek has some lakes and ponds on it, so they have water. On Top of the World has no water. So you can fish in those lakes. So if it's important to you to have a water view, that's the place to go. I will say Stone Creek is just a little less than On Top of the World when it comes to that. You still have design that you have to do as well, but I think their homes are just a notch less, and the floor plans are a little different. So it's good that you have a lot of choices to make. As far as the HOAs, I would say the most HOA, I actually saw a listing today for a home built in 2019. The HOA, it's in maintenance free, was a little over $400 a month. Now, the one big difference between these two communities' HOA is that in maintenance free in Stone Creek, they include the water. On Top of the World does not. So some people like that as a benefit. Now, one other thing, when you're talking about the building of the homes, natural gas. Stone Creek, no natural gas. They chose not to go that route. On Top of the World does. So just to kind of give you those quick differences. And again, if the home is a little older, the HOA will be less. They do have fee simple communities as well as maintenance free.
Stone Creek has the maintenance free.
They do.
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
The water
I thought
included.
They were all fee simple in Stone Creek.
No, there is maintenance free, and they include the water. That's the biggest difference.
How many homes total will be in Stone Creek?
3,600, and they are 3/4 built out. Wow. If they're building another 3 years, I'd be surprised, depending at the rate. The other thing I could mention is with Stone Creek, they are doing online bidding for their lots. Now, the nice thing about Stone Creek, they do have lots where they're not bidding on them. So you can still go in there and say, oh, this lot and this lot you can just buy right now. Versus On Top of the World, the word is they have releasing 45 lots a month, and it's all done on lottery. So it's whoever picks the name out of the bucket. So a little bit different in their system. Stone Creek, though, I think you have a better chance on trying to get a lot in a better amount of time. And their building time is shorter. They're building out in 8 months. On top of the world, it's 10. And we know if anybody has ever built a house before, there's going to be a delay. Something's going to happen. Oops, sorry, couldn't get permitted for that fast enough. Or we ran out of drywall.
Yeah, always
and everything sky high in building right now, folks. I tell you, if you really want most value for your money, go pre-owned. It's the better way to go right now.
And so the size of the homes for just resales, smallest to largest, and then what's the price range that you can find for a resale home?
Okay, so Stone Creek is a relatively new community, so it doesn't have a 30-year history here. This particular Del Webb community, it doesn't. So there are no homes in there that I've really seen that are less than $250,000. And the most I've seen them go up to is a little over 500, and that's because it's probably a newer home or a home that they've done a lot of updating.
And it's a golf club or golf course community, right? So there'll be golf course lots, which would be premium lots, and
yes, they still have some that are absolutely beautiful. You got lake views and golf courses. I don't know. You can go over, when you drive in there, you can see the newer construction going on, and you can kind of see the views. I think probably they have, I've seen some of their golf courses for maybe 35, 40,000 compared to 90 on top of the world, so a lot different.
Well, and that's the beauty of a resale as well, because it's just one price. You already know what it is because everything's been chosen and taken care of, and that's the price.
Exactly. And, you know, you can really get an idea of what you're going to spend on a pre-owned home because there's homestead exemption is probably in effect. And you can get an idea of what the taxes are going to be. When you're building, it's a little tough because millage changes for new homes, so it just makes it a little bit different trying to get a feel of what you're going to spend. Now, on top of the world, these places, we're all pretty good. I can give you an idea of what your power is going to be, what your gas is going to be if you have that bill, and if you're in Stone Creek, what your water bill will be versus the irrigation. So it's not that bad to try to figure it out, but there's just a lot more advantages right now for pre-owned homes.
That's why it's important to have an agent that really knows their area and has all that information.
Yeah, it does help. I feel lucky to be able to be in this position. I mean, I know the ins and outs because I've done new home sales and now I'm doing, my own thing. So it's just so much, it's fun too, because I don't really have any bias. It's really all up to you. I love that I can sell anywhere. I just like the fact it's really what kind of lifestyle do you want to have. On Top of the World does hold a special place in my heart because I do live here. I do love it here. But I love Stone Creek. Just a couple of differences. Now, Stone Creek does not have the amenities that On Top of the World does or the activities. But not everybody needs that. They have a gorgeous pool, beautiful dining, a beautiful golf course. They have tons of activities. So it just depends on how much do you want in your life.
Yeah.
What a great segue to the amenities.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, Stone Creek is a really beautiful community, and the golf course looks.
Del Webb does a nice job. All of the Del Webbs have beautiful entrances and great facilities. So sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, that is another question that I do get a lot is why doesn't On Top of the World have this big, gorgeous entrances and all their entrances? Probably because they have three. There's 3 ways to get in and out On Top of the World, where Stone Creek, there's 1. But I tell people all the time, Stone Creek has a lot of stone.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So you're kind of looking at now, you're going into the interior of some of their activity rooms. So of course, they do have billiards, they have card rooms, they have a fitness center, they do have an indoor and outdoor pool, they have a library, they have tons of activities and clubs. They are accessible to the town square. So you have a town square that you can golf cart to if you want to. They have a ballroom, so their facility is beautiful too. And I've eaten at their restaurant. It's really good. Their grill is very nice.
And the grill it's on the golf course?
It is. So you can sit inside or outside and look at the beautiful view the entire time. And their fitness room, brand new. I mean, you got to remember, this community is less than 15 years old. I mean, it's pretty new. You've got ping pong. They have fantastic fitness center that even looks into the pool. It's just beautiful.
And I know one thing at On Top of the World, they require 20% down, but Del Webb Stone Creek is your typical setup where you can use all sorts of different financing.
Good point, Nikki. And they're not leasehold either. So Stone Creek folks do not have to do the 20% down, and they do not have to worry about leasehold properties.
That was a beach entry pool. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, and listen, a lot of times people don't realize if some people are retiring earlier. I'm noticing a huge trend in that they're retiring earlier. So you have to think that you might be in your 50s now, but think 20 years from now. These pools are zero entry, so you don't have to climb steps if you don't want to. Most of these communities are, the newer houses too, are respectful of your zero entries into your shower. You got bars to hold on to in there. So there's a lot of things. All the amenities are typically geared towards for you to have a long time.
That's plenty of pickleball. Basketball.
Pickleball's huge. Yes, pickleball. They have horseshoe. They have bocce ball. I mean, if you've never played bocce ball, it's really cool. It's kind of like in between bowling and croquet, but pickleball is the big thing. Softball, they just have a lot of beautiful amenities as well. You can't really say you like one or the other. I love them both. They just have different qualities. Gas, no gas, leasehold, no leasehold, 20% down, no 20% down. Most people I do find put a lot of money down anyway, just because they don't want the high mortgage payment. And Stone Creek has some beautiful water views. And they've got a pier where you can actually fish out on those lakes.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, we always say in these Explore videos that there's a hat for every head, and it's just a matter of exploring your options. And that's why we try to do these videos, so they can really get a look at it from their comfort of their home and kind of decide if Ocala is a great area. And then when I get to Ocala, I'll hook up with an Explore agent and go see what my options are.
Oh yeah, and listen, when I take folks around, we have a great time, and sometimes I try to do a couple of extras for them beyond the communities.
Oh well, that's a secret. You'll have to come explore with Della to know what that is.
Yeah.
Well, Della, I know you're an equestrian rider, right? Is that the right way to say that?
Yes. Well, let's put it this way. I've had my horses for 21 years. They're 25 and 23. I tell people I work really hard so they can enjoy their retirement community where they're at. They're having a great retirement. I mostly ride other people's horses, and I used to train horses, so yes. But we do have something really cool here in Ocala. I'm sure you were going to mention that.
Go for it.
The World Equestrian Center. Now, let me tell you how that ties in with some of these communities. So you're only about 15, 20 minutes down the road from Stone Creek or On Top of the World to go to the World Equestrian Center. They actually have live entertainment there. It's horse shows, but they actually have live entertainment. They have dog shows. And I'm actually working with somebody on the inside to talk about, to have some functions there from some of these communities like dancing. And then they have a really fine dining place called Stirrups. So imagine, a lot of people used to have horses in their youth or their childhood or when they were younger, and they love to come to a horse show. Imagine having a nice fine dining experience while watching a horse show. And you have people coming from all over the world. The word is always the Queen of England actually brings her horses here to train just under a pseudonym, so you never know, but some of us kind of do.
Well, that's interesting because a lot of folks that do retire, of course, they want to consider a 55 plus, but you can't have your horses there. There's probably some boarding opportunities and riding areas for their horses if they want to keep them.
There is a lot of boarding facilities, and you are in the horse capital of the world. There are lots of things to do here that have to do with equine. I tell people all the time, we rescue a lot of horses around here. When horses are retired from thoroughbred industry, from horse racing or dressage, a lot of folks rescue these horses or adopt these horses, and we need volunteers all the time to brush, clean out buckets, ride the horses. So there's always, if you have a horse background, you would enjoy loving to do something like that. Keeps you in the loop.
Very, very cool. So J. Michael, typically we ask a few other questions like, what do you get for unusual questions? And one we always get is, can you put fences in your backyards in Stone Creek?
Yes, you can. Again, you have to get approval from the HOA and find out. Usually there's only a 4-foot fence. So if you have a Great Dane who likes to jump, forget it.
Great Danes don't jump. They sit on your lap.
Hopefully Hopefully not. It's really, you can, yes. And again, you have to get approval, and it depends, because I do know that some golf course lots, they say no, but others, they say yes. So yes, typically you can have a 4-foot fence. You just have to make sure your lot can accommodate it.
Cool. Are there any restrictions in pet sizes? That's one we should be asking too.
You mean for the dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah, your pet restrictions.
No restrictions. Usually the only restriction is how many, and 3 seems to be the top number. Three pets, and I think that goes for cats and dogs together. So three dogs, or 2 dogs and 1 cat, something like that. But three pets.
Cool.
Well, and if they all look the same, you can walk them at different time, and nobody would ever know.
Yeah, there's no breed restrictions to my knowledge. So like I said, I live on top of the world, and I go to Stone Creek almost every other day. So there's all kinds of dogs. You see all kinds of breeds, big ones, little ones, all kinds. The dog parks are really good because they accommodate that. So they have a large dog side and a small dog side.
Yep.
Cool. Natural gas. I think you kind of touched on that.
Said all electric. They chose
all
no.
Electric.
Stone Creek, no gas.
Cool.
No. Now, I have heard that they can do a propane under the cabinet or something. If you want to do a cooktop kind of thing, they can plumb in a propane. So you would just have to refill it all the time.
Yep. But
no natural gas, no.
Cool. Well, what are some questions that when people are working with you and checking out Stone Creek that you see commonly?
Is there a town square? Yes, there is a town square, but not inside. You have to go down the road to Circle Square, which is part of On Top of the World. People need to realize these communities back up to each other. The town square is public, so anyone from Stone Creek can come to the town square. They are in the process of building these fantastic golf cart paths from Stone Creek to Shalom Park all the way to Highway 200. It's a little bit of a ride, but you can do it.
Cool. Is there a little bit of animosity between On Top of the World and Stone Creek?
Yeah, a little fist fight going.
I haven't experienced that personally. So again, I tell people it's all about preference. I would say On Top of the World has a little more has more amenities. It has more clubs and activities because of its size. Mm-hmm. If Stone Creek were that size, they probably would too, but they're not. They're going to max out at 3,600 homes, where On Top of the World is 10,000 homes. Mm-hmm. So that in itself. So if you like a little smaller community, this is a great thing, and still have all the pools and all the activities and the golf cart fun. You can still do that at Stone Creek.
Cool. Does On Top of the World have softball?
Yes. Men and women, Stone Creek, they both have softball.
Do they play each other?
Not to my knowledge, but I know there's a league, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is true. But again, everything is just now starting to come back since COVID.
Yeah.
So I think they've kind of changed around. Maybe they're just doing it internally for a while, and then they're going to go back into the league playing. If you're interested in that, I'd be happy to really get into a little bit more detail on that for you.
Cool. I think is there anything else you want to add? I think we did a pretty good job on that.
I've got one question, and I don't think we've really mentioned this. When there's a golf course involved in a community, you only pay if you play. It's not part of your amenity fee. Is that correct?
That's correct. Now, if you're part of the community, these golf courses, they're open. Some of them are semi-private, so they pay probably a lesser fee, but no, they are not included in the HOA. But if you're a resident, you don't get charged as much for daily play. And they do have golf packages for the residents. So it just depends on how much you play. I always tell people, if you play more than 3 times a week, you might want to get into a golf package because you'll get some perks with that, with tee times and things.
Yes, it is confusing for a lot of people, though. They think if there's a golf course, they're paying for the upkeep of it, and that's not true in any of the golf course communities.
That's correct, even if you live on the golf course.
Yep.
So no, it's not included in your HOA.
Yep.
You can look at it, drive by it.
Yep.
And when you go to eat there, you can look at it the whole time. It's a very pretty view.
Yes, it adds a lot of green space, that's for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
All right.
Cool. Anything else, Della?
No, I'm just going to say either one of these communities is fantastic depending on what you're looking for and what your budget is. There are some small differences in these communities as far as size and how much, but they're both beautiful places to live. And folks know each other from Stone Creek to On Top of the World. They do butt against each other, but I've never seen any animosity. And now that they're building this great golf cart path from On Top of the World or from Stone Creek to 200 that passes through, you get all the access that On Top of the World does. It's just not inside the gate. So it's kind of nice.
Awesome.
Well, we definitely have folks that are interested in Ocala to reach out to explore55plus.com and or email or phone call us because we have resident agents that live up in the area, cheerlead for it, know the good, bad, and great parts of living in Ocala, and then also all your options for communities. And I know there's a few other ones, but we're just going to focus on the bigger ones for now.
Yeah, the ones that are still building, those are still the most sought after, the ones that are still building.
Yes, yep. Della, thanks for taking so much time with us again this weekend. We appreciate it so much.
Thanks so much for having me. Look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.